All right, in today's video, we are going to be comparing two different states and we're going to be battling it out like we have done in the past. So today I have Realtor Joe McIntosh from North Carolina, and we're going to be battling it out. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it. Let's
So
do it.
tell us a little bit about where you are, who you serve, what you do, all that jazz. Go for it.
Yeah. So I'm here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Charlotte's a border city here in the state. So I also serve South Carolina of the areas of South Carolina that are going to touch Charlotte, right here in the immediate area and some killer suburbs here also. Those, but serve Charlotte and work a lot with relocations and then my local community. And of course, I have a soft spot for my veterans here as I am also. So
Yeah, what branch were you with?
Navy.
Navy. All right. Well, my husband, whose name is also Joe, he's an Air Force vet. So I also have a soft spot for veterans as well, and do help a lot of veterans relocate here to the area. And you do have your own YouTube channel, right?
I do. I do.
All right. Well, I'll link it down below in the comments. Go and
Sweet.
check it out.
Thank
For sure. All right. Well, let's jump into it. Let's start battling the states here. So how's the weather been?
you. Man, the weather's nice. This is actually an incredible time of year here for the Carolinas. I call it the pollening, so it's not as great as it could be. Everything is yellow. It rained yesterday, so everything's got a nice yellow outline to it because it is green. It is beautiful. We do have lots of flowers and trees and everything with color, but with it comes pollen and allergies. So lots of people, it's kind of a love-hate relationship right
Yeah.
now because you love it. It's warm. It's 70. You can go outside, but if you haven't taken your Allegra or your Zyrtec, could be a could be a
Oh,
bad time of year.
wow. So I don't know if I told you, but I used to live on the East Coast. That's where I grew up in DC.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so it was like that. Like my car would be
Yeah.
covered. So I don't miss that at all. Yeah, we don't have that here. Thank goodness. So yeah, so it's nice that you're like all yellow and pretty and green. So we have like the exact opposite right now. It's just muddy and brown everywhere. And it drives me nuts. Like I wish you could see my boots right now,
Mhm.
covered in mud, like even my nice shoes when I go to showings, mud everywhere. And it has been raining for the past 3 days, which we really, really need because we have a very strong fire season with forest
Mhm.
fires. Not only here in Montana, but our neighbors,
Right.
all the fire and all the smoke, so we need
Mhm.
all the precipitation that we can get. But that doesn't make the rain less annoying. And the mud even more annoying. Like I think I talk about it in almost every single video about how much I hate mud. And I didn't realize like moving to Montana, how much mud would be a presence in my life. But I guess I don't have that much pollen here. Not like covered on my car like I used to.
Yeah.
So that's nice. But we're
Yeah.
sitting in the 40s and 50s, which I can see you're wearing a short sleeve.
Yeah. I'm in short sleeves most of the year.
Okay.
Even when it's cold, I'll just put a jacket on. Um, I'm naturally hot natured, so wearing long sleeves inside, I just end up really hot. So I'll wear short sleeves and a jacket
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and call it a day. But weather here is really awesome for North Carolina. No matter where you live here in the state, you're going to get a healthy dose of all three seasons. Yes, it is hot and humid in the summer. You don't like it, don't come. I don't know what to tell you. It's going to be 95. You're going to have a 100% heat index. You're going to have 90% humidity.
Sounds
But on the flip side,
that sounds terrible.
you know, you you can go out. You play in the lakes, you play in the pools, you go outside. I don't say that you get used to it. You just accept it because it ain't going anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I had some lovely folks that moved from Texas last spring, and they were planning to be here around middle May,
Mhm.
end of May. And I was like, bring a sweater.
Yeah.
And they didn't know that because it was already hot in Texas. And they had two little girls, like 4-year-olds, and I was like, you need sweaters because it doesn't get hot or warm up into the 70s and 80s consistently until the end of June. Yeah. Yeah. So my birthday is the beginning of June and my husband's birthday is the end of June. We are always wearing sweaters, sweatshirts on our birthdays. So it's a little different here.
So you're saying water sports isn't a thing.
It is, but it's very short-lived. Like we have Flathead Lake, which is about 2 hours
Mhm.
north of Missoula. And it's a stunning lake, beautiful mountains in the background, and you can do all your water sports there. Um, and then we have three major rivers here in the Missoula area that all like meet up.
Mhm.
And you can do all your water sports there, but I would say you only have a solid 2 months. Uh,
Dang.
yeah, yeah. And you have to limit it in the summer just because of fire season, which turns into a ton of smoke. So something to be mindful of, you know?
Got it. Got it. What is your favorite season from Montana?
I love the fall and the beginning of winter, where like the mud ends and you start to get dip into the lower teens, and maybe just like a little bit of snow. I'm definitely a very homebody kind of person. So I love to turn on my wood burning stove, read a book under a blanket when it's snowing a little bit outside. Um,
Got it.
that's my jam.
All right. All
Yeah,
right. For me, it's fall.
yeah, yeah.
Fall. I mean, the trees, like it looks like Bob Ross stopped by and was like, "Hey, you know what? We're just gonna make this place beautiful today, and here's all the
I
colors."
love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So fall's
Missoula
awesome.
can be really beautiful in the fall too, with like all the colors. We have a really beautiful golf course that's here at the south end of Missoula, and it's just stunning because with all the trees, you just drive down the main road and just trees, different colors. It's really beautiful.
Right on. How is golf in Missoula?
Yeah, so we have 7, 8 golf courses here in Missoula. I don't play golf, so I've never visited any of them. But my friends that do play golf, they love it. One of them has like a mini golf. It's at the country club,
Mhm.
and other people like it. It's not my cup of tea, but yeah, you guys play a lot of golf.
I don't, but people here do. So it's always a question like, "Hey, how's golf?" I'm like, "Hey, you can golf 12 months a year. You just can't golf 365."
Yeah,
Because I mean, it does get cold. It's not in the teens usually. That's a rarity, but it happens each year. We'll have some times in the teens, but through the winter, I mean, you might have steady days of 30. And I don't know about you, but I'm not doing a whole lot outside I'm not playing golf when it's 30 degrees.
I just love that because I think the mindset is like totally different here. If we get into the 30s, like people are wearing t-shirts outside. Like
No,
that's a great day.
30, 30 here. It's winter jackets, it's
Oh,
toboggans, it's
so funny.
boots, and
That's so funny.
that's cold. That's cold.
Yeah. Did I tell you? So my son's in preschool and he goes to an outdoor preschool.
Mhm.
There's no indoors. hmm So when it snows 3 feet, he's outside. Regardless of the temperature, he's outside, no matter what. It's
Y'all are
like,
raising little Marines.
oh yeah, he's a beast. It was like the parent questionnaire, like, so how do you feel about your child being outside? I was like, I don't like it. I don't like to be cold. Him, it's good for him. Put him outside. That's too funny.
Yes.
Oh man. So tell us about real estate. How's the real estate market going over there?
Real estate has it's not bad, right? You see all the headlines, "Oh my God, the sky is falling," or there's all this inventory for Florida. But for North Carolina, specifically Charlotte, real estate is in a pretty good spot. Sellers have some control, buyers have some control. Neither side can really hold a gun to the other and say, give me X, right? We've got healthy negotiations. You've got Usually we've got a lot of communication between agents, especially in a market like this, because list agents want to get their home sold and buyers agents want to get their families in homes in a fair deal for all sides. So it has been nice to see, kind of an even market. We don't have a ton of inventory. Inventory is still kind of short right now, but it's April. We're coming into spring and summer season. So we're starting to see a lot more, not a lot more, we're seeing more inventory come to market. Homes that are priced right and look nice, they're gone.
Yeah.
Those homes are going to last maybe 3 weeks. I think we got an average on market right now, just over 30, maybe 30 to 40 days.
Okay. Okay.
I think the national average is around like 50 something right now, so as the populace have had to adjust their expectations of the real estate market, everything's kind of, the temperature, has come down. 2022 is kind of so far in the rear view. It's kind of like a fantasy land for all sides now, especially for sellers. You talk about, oh God, you know, they're almost like tall tales.
Yeah.
My neighbor listed his house yesterday and it sold in 35 minutes for 200,000 over list. That's gone, so the agents have usually done a pretty good job of conveying this to their clients, and it's something I have to talk to buyers about. Is, hey, we're coming into the market. This is what it's going to look like. This is how things should roll. But if something looks nice and you like it, you don't have a ton of time to say, oh, well, I don't know if I want house A or C. You have time, but you don't have like weeks to figure it out. You
Right.
might have a few days.
Right. Right. Yeah, we definitely have a higher average days on market. Usually 40 to 60 days is
Mhm.
normal. Bare land, it's sitting for a year.
Yeah, land, and that's funny you say land. A lot of people, they hear the Carolinas, and sometimes they just have this thing in their head of like, oh man, it's just all this cheap land in the Carolinas. Look, I work the Charlotte market. Anything within an hour to Charlotte is going to come at a premium.
For sure.
The builders here, they didn't slow down, late 2022 as the market, kind of hit the brakes as interest rates pushed to 5, then to 7. Now they're hovering between, 6.5 and 8, depending on the day. A lot of parts of the country, builders pulled back.
Hmm.
Builders canceled contracts,
Hmm.
and they were done. They were moving forward. They've been full steam ahead here as fast as they can go, and they're going to be full steam ahead here for probably at least the next
Oh, wow.
5 to 10 years. So there is land here.
Yeah,
But, that coveted, I want 5 acres and a house and my little picket fence, and I want to spend 300,000. That fairy tale's gone.
I hear ya. Yeah, I get a lot of oh, Montana's so cheap and land is like you can just buy hundreds and hundreds of acres for cheap. And I'm like, you can't unless you're willing to pay for it. And the closer you are to Missoula, the higher it is.
Mhm.
Um, Now the cheap land that is relatively close, maybe an hour or two from Missoula, the land is like steep.
Oh,
Like you can't build on it. Lenders won't lend on it. Appraisers can't even get out there. I mean, they can now that the snow has melted. But appraisers couldn't even get out there, so lenders like wouldn't lend on it. Um, and the land that is sitting, it's for a reason. I
yeah.
took some buyers out 2 weeks ago, and there was 20 acres for sale in Missoula at a decent price. Well, come to find out, it's in the floodplain, so the chances of it flooding are extremely high. So they decided not to buy it. I'm like, there's always a catch,
Yeah,
see it cheap. Well, this is the reason
yeah,
for it. So, setting those expectations or being a little more realistic with folks that are coming from out of state is definitely like a conversation that I'm needing to have more often than not. And homes are sitting for quite a while. So
mhm,
I would say buyers at this point have had a bigger advantage. They can offer in much lower or put in more contingencies, push out the closing date if that benefits them. And sellers, their hands are kind of tied because their home has been sitting.
yeah,
They're like, I'm ready to get rid of it. So we are also experiencing low inventory. I think that's just the natural progression of real estate, like over the course of a year, right? So as it starts to warm up, as the sun comes out a little bit more people are like, oh yeah, maybe I should sell. So inventory will start to um, increase, but I did see a house the other day that had an offer deadline, and I like laughed out loud. I'm like, I haven't seen that in like 2 years.
yeah.
It's still sitting. So, like, what are you doing?
Did
I haven't seen that in a while.
did
So.
did the agent go back and remove the deadline?
No, I think the deadline is still like in the comments. Yeah.
And we're like 2 weeks past that number.
Or like I love seeing in like agent comments like sellers will be moved out by Christmas Eve or something. And I'm like, it's March. Update. So, oh, that's too funny. All right.
Yeah,
Let's talk about traffic and the job
yeah,
market because a lot of things are going on in the world.
it
And
is.
want to know how things are affecting your market.
Yeah. We we haven't been super affected by the current political climate as far as cuts and Doge and this and that and this and that. We have some government workers here, just like anywhere, but that's not an overwhelming majority. Your Charlotte market, this area, our number one's going to be banks and finance. Are definitely our number one employer. But something a lot of people don't know is right behind that and might overtake it is going to be healthcare.
Mhm.
There, like I joke in my videos, I'm like, I think there's some sort of medical center on every other corner. Like I think it's a Walgreens and a hospital and a church. Um, and I'm being facetious when I say it, but if you split Charlotte into quarters, there's a hospital or two per quarter.
Fascinating.
And then there's a ton of the area. We've had a lot of kind of pop-up regional offices. Like maybe it's not an emergency room, but it's huge doctor's offices for everything. Like everything outside of the ER would be done at this location. There's a
Yeah.
ton of those
Okay.
that have popped up around. So medical here is massive. Charlotte, we're getting our first medical school in partnership with Wake Forest.
Cool.
I covered that on a video. That was a lot of fun to learn about. It's going to be a 4-year medical school with we're going to have ERCAD here, which is like an intensive training for surgery to go through. So medical here is really big. Something else a lot of people don't realize is manufacturing
Mm,
is really big here in Charlotte and also in the Carolinas as the state governments make it good for big companies to come in. And these are these are people, they're going to employ a few hundred people. They're going to be quality jobs at, somewhere between 25 to $50 an hour, depending on what the skill level is there. And they're usually outside the city a little bit to where these places afford their employees an opportunity to really have a life instead of just survive and pay rent. They're paying pretty well to afford these individuals the opportunity, hey, to buy a house and really achieve their little piece of the American dream. And then what comes in right behind your manufacturing is you make all the stuff, you got to get it somewhere. So we've got a pretty big logistics center here also. We've got the major interstates here. You've got 77 and 85, that come through Charlotte. And then we're not but about, depending on where you are, if you're in the north part of the city, you might be 20 minutes to jump on 40.
Okay. Remind us, what's your population?
Charlotte proper, as far as what has an actual address of Charlotte, is hovering between 800,000 and a million, depending on what happens with this next census.
Holy moly.
And yeah, and I think the region is 16 counties. So when people, your metro service area, MSA, woo, I think we're hovering, I think it's right at 16 counties. And
Wow.
that's going to be in excess of 3 million people.
Whoa.
Yeah.
All right. So Missoula is at about 75 to 100,000 people.
Well, that's cute.
Yeah, it's super cute. Like a little baby. And within maybe a 2 hour drive, that covers 3 counties. So we have Missoula County, and then we have the Ravalli County, which
Mhm.
is like the Bitterroot area. And then above Missoula County, we have Lake County, and then there's some like off to the sides. And then right, so we are almost on the border with Idaho, but we have
Mhm.
a giant mountain in between.
Yeah.
So to go to Idaho, you got to go like up and around. So very big differences in population. And I thought that was interesting that you brought up healthcare because we only have two major hospitals here in Missoula. And that's actually a question that I get quite a bit from YouTube folks wanting to relocate to this area is they need to stay close to the hospitals for XYZ reasons. And
Absolutely.
so that's something that I'm constantly explaining. There's a hospital at the north end of town and one at the south end of town, but we also have like those health clinics. Do you guys have a VA clinic?
There's not a major one here. There's not like
Okay.
a big VA hospital
Okay. Okay.
here. There are VA centers that are pretty good. I've been fortunate. I haven't needed to go, so I don't have like firsthand experience. One of my best friends just moved in the last year, and he's 100% and uses the VA almost exclusively, and has been really happy with the process.
Okay.
So he's kind of been my litmus test of like, hey, how is it? Because I just go to private healthcare.
Sure.
How is the VA system here? He said the one in Rock Hill here, which is actually South Carolina. He's like, it's been really good. He's got his caseworker helps him out. Um, so it's been a real good process.
Yeah, we have a VA hospital in Hamilton, which is about an hour south of Missoula. And I only know that because I've had VAs that will come here so that they live close to the VA hospital, because they haven't liked how they're being treated at like where they currently are.
Mhm.
So I don't know personally like how it works, or their experience there, but that does come up quite a bit because we do get a lot of VA. Like we don't have a big base around here. We have an Air Force base in Great Falls, which is still a couple hours away. But we do get a lot of military here as recruiters. And then they go to the University of Montana, which is right smack dab in the middle of Missoula. So yeah.
Cool. Are they teaching at the
Mhm.
university?
Mhm.
Right on.
Yeah, and we
I
get a lot of we have a lot of healthcare staff as well. A lot of people move here because they're being hired at the hospitals. I'm helping some lovely folks come from the East Coast. I believe they're in Massachusetts, and he just got a job as a surgeon here at one of the hospitals. So yeah, that's it's popular, I would I would say. Yeah.
was your surgeon coming out of New England, was he looking for something? Was he wanting to get out of where he was? And did he kind of, I feel like a lot of people kind of have this dream of going out west, whether it's Montana, picking I call them, your big sky states, where it's just like you can see tomorrow, beautiful mountains, you've got more deer than people.
I saw a moose the other day.
Hey, you know,
A little baby. Yeah, so a lot of people definitely want that stunning view, acres and acres, or have start their homestead. Um, so yes, they were wanting that as well. With a surge in salary, they can afford it. But he was only willing to commute maybe 30 minutes. And that won't give you the 10, 15, 20 acres that you're looking for, because then traffic comes into play.
absolutely.
Yeah, so I grew up in DC, so I know what true traffic is, but the locals here will bitch and moan about sitting in 10 minutes of traffic because there was an accident. I'm like, that's not traffic.
Yeah.
So, so there's things like that to keep in mind. And one of the questions that I get a lot is, are you bored? Like, are there enough activities there for adults or children to keep them occupied? And I'm
Yeah.
like, I am not bored because I can keep myself entertained quite a bit. But if you're really that bored, like if you really want to go to a concert or watch some show or go to like a big mall, because the mall that we have sucks, um, drive up to Seattle. It's just a couple hours.
Far is it?
3 hours?
Oh, that's it.
It
My Western geography is just big states. Like I can find them
runs
on the,
together.
you
You're
know, like
Our mall is so
can find
terrible.
I know where they are and I can find them, but knowing like driving distance because I lived out west for a while, lived in Nevada for 3 years. Which is something I really like about the Southeast is there's 3 or 4 ways to get everywhere here.
No. Mm-mm.
When I got out to Nevada, it's like, no, there is one east-west highway. That is it. The one that goes north-south,
Mhm.
that's it.
Yeah, that's how
So
it
there was no, there was no like cut through and come around and go over and do this. It was like you're going to come all the way north to go west. You're going to go all the way south to go east
is.
because y'all also have big geography to get around.
Uh, Big geography. Yeah, we have those three rivers that kind of like block you in, and then the mountains, because it's a valley. So Missoula is like in the valley, and that's funny you say that because our north-south highway is Highway 93, and there was a major accident about a year ago. There was a big truck full of bricks that was going too fast and they slipped, and bricks were all over the highway. They closed the entire highway. It didn't reopen for 8 hours. So people were stuck, including myself. I had to go pick up my kid and we went to the mall. We went out to dinner until they cleared the accident, and it still took us almost 2 hours to get home when normally it takes 20 minutes. So things like that happen because there is no workaround. That highway is a big lifeline for people because that we get a lot of people that work remote
Mm-hmm.
because of COVID and everything.
Yep.
A lot of people come to Montana, live off grid. And when now they have to like return to office, they're a little worried and anxious. And we are seeing a lot of people that are affected by these huge government job cuts
Mm-hmm.
because of these remote workers who are now need to go
Back to
somewhere.
DC.
Back to DC, exactly. And we have a very big population of people that work for the Forest Service around here. Um,
Uh,
and we're seeing cuts. And it affects not only Montana, but our neighbors as well, because we have forest fires every summer, very consistently in Washington, Idaho, Oregon, California. And our people go to all those other states to help them out. And I mean, we have them here in Montana. We had one about 20 miles south of me, and you could see it from my window. I'm like,
wow.
little baby fire. So that was fun when it came to like homeowners insurance for that entire zip code. Homeowner insurance completely froze for 30 days.
Mhm.
People could not close on their homes. And then it skyrocketed after that.
Yeah.
So something to consider, an additional cost in moving to Montana, living here, is a homeowner's insurance, not just for fires, but for flooding. So
Yeah.
fun
That's,
time.
that's something that is nice here. We don't have, you're going to sustain more damage from a summer thunderstorm than you would from a major event. We did just have Helene come through,
Mhm.
um, which was catastrophic and absolutely has destroyed the western part of North Carolina. That that a lot of people they don't know how remote western North Carolina is. We kind of joke about it being a third world country sometimes because you drive through, these are people who want to be left alone. They don't want to be found. They don't want you to come knock on their door. They've been there for two, 3 generations on their little piece of land and their trailer, and they're fine. So you absolutely can find remoteness
Mhm.
here. Kind of like you may have to explain to people like, hey, remote's a double-edged sword. Yep,
Mhm.
you're out, you're by yourself, no one's gonna bother you, the government's not coming to see you, I promise.
No mobile access only.
But you're also cut off from services.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you've got one road, like a lot of it is mountains,
Hmm.
so you might have one road. That road washes out.
Yeah.
You're
Sure
you're
does.
stuck, and it can be very dangerous. If you all of a sudden like somebody needed immediate medical services, there is no immediate medical service. A buddy of mine works in air rescue out in the western part of the state. It's a lot of air rescue that happens for what should have been a basic trip is not. So if you want to be remote, understand what the other half of that means.
For sure. You
I,
must have read my mind. I had a buyer out of state who wanted to look at some land, but it was dirt bike access only because an ATV would have been too low and too wide to get between the boulders.
wow. Yeah.
God, I know nothing about ATVs. All right, Joe, we're running out of time. Any last minute thoughts?
For for Charlotte, if you're debating, hey, did you want to come to North Carolina or Montana? These are two completely different places.
Totally different. Like, I feel like we can't even compare.
Your differences. Someone looking at North Carolina or Charlotte area versus Missoula, Montana. These are two very different places, but maybe you like what both has to offer. And something I tell all of my clients to do, and something even I did when I was moving, is hey, look, start making your lists.
Mhm.
Put on the list what your must haves. I must have X amount of bedrooms, or I must have this much, whatever your must haves are to you and your family, and what is important. Put all that stuff on a list. Then put your nice to haves on a list. Maybe it's more space. Maybe it's a pool. Maybe it's like I want 3 stories, or I want mountain views. Whatever your nice to have is, put that in the list. And then put your no goes on a list, whatever your no goes are: area, commute, traffic, neighborhood, school system, scores, whatever your no goes are. Put those on a list. Now take everything you want and see where on the map your budget gets you what you want.
Mhm.
And you're usually not going to get everything you want. Sometimes you're going to give up location for size, or you're going to give up school system for area, whatever is important to you. And if you end up in something totally different, that's fine. You don't have to pigeonhole yourself into a corner because your list said this is what I wanted, but when you see it, you're like, I don't like that. And go through that process and have those hard conversations with whoever you're moving with. If you're a traditional family, wife, husband, kids, then have those conversations. If it's just you, then it's a lot easier. You just kind of be like, hey bro, do I like this? Yeah, 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 that looks real cool.
Yeah, right. That's funny. Um, I don't think I've seen a home under $1 million with a pool around here. No, may
I'm 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 surprised
maybe
y'all
not
have
even.
pools.
I can't remember the last time I saw a pool at a house. Now, hot tubs, uh, very often, very often. Hot tubs are definitely a thing. Which is funny because we have a lot of hot springs. Have you ever been to the hot spring?
Mm.
You're just going to have to come to Montana because that's one of our outdoor activities. And it can be
Right
done
on.
year round, but it's more enjoyable, I would say, in the winter time. So the hot springs is really fun. I wouldn't say it's kid friendly, so it's more for adults. I mean, people do bring their kids, but they don't have fun. And it's miserable getting in and out of the water when it's 20 degrees outside. Um, yeah, but it's really fun. It's definitely something people come out here for. And I mean, I agree with you on making that list, the pros and the cons, what you're really wanting, like what is more important to you, that you have a really nice house or that you have your 20 acres.
Mm.
Because you might get a house with 20 acres that's kind of beat up, or you might have a nicer house in more of a neighborhood if that's your style. Great. If it's not, that's fine too. Um, but we have such a range of possibilities that I will be the one to kind of be blunt, like, "Ooh, we got to work on this." But
Yeah.
that's part of the job, right? And I really, really enjoy working with relocation clients because I got to
Mm.
tell them about this amazing place that I live and show them all the things. And these are my favorite places to eat. Go eat there. And I just had a lovely gentleman from Wisconsin who came here for the weekend to buy land to build on it. And I sent him an email with like all of my favorite places, and it was super helpful for him so that he could also take the time, drive around, check it out, because the pictures can be deceiving. So,
Absolutely.
not just on a house, but on land. Like it's this beautiful land, beautiful view, but the road to get up there is like this. Actually had some lovely folks from North Carolina that wanted to buy some land down in Darby, Montana, which I would say is an hour and a half to 2 hours south of Missoula. And they wanted the acreage because they wanted their cows. He was
Oh, okay.
a rancher from North Carolina, and he wanted 100 plus cows. So you need space for that, right? So you got to like get out into the outskirts. And there was some beautiful land, beautiful views, but the road to get there, his truck did not make it. I was like, hop in my little baby car, I'll take you. So it was good times, good times. Well, all of your contact information will be down in the description box below. If you're moving in or out of Charlotte, you definitely want to give Joe a call. And of course, if you're moving in or out of Missoula or the Bitterroot Valley, of course, I would love to assist you. Um, Anything else?
No, that is it. Y'all have a great day, and if I can ever help you, let me know.
All right. Thanks so much, Joe. I'll talk to you later, okay?
You're welcome.